Hi, my name is Wes Croskrey and I'm the founder of Start and Finish Hardwood Floor Products. We have a brand new company here in Weddington, North Carolina producing a product for the hardwood floor industry called Start and Finish Courses. The design of the Start and Finish course is pretty unique. It replaces the first 3 boards of your generic install and your last 3 boards when you're dealing with your 2 1/4 floor. It replaces the first 2 and the last 2 of your 3 1/4 floor. It replaces about 6% of the install. If you had 1,000 square feet of flooring that you were doing in a house, you roughly need 60 square feet of Start and Finish courses. This particular one in the 2 1/4 comprises 3.375 square feet of flooring. The unique thing about Start and Finish courses is this step right here. We basically hot glue all 3 boards together with a specially formulated glue that allows the boards to stay flexible. So it's not a panelization of flooring. When you install this and you put your pin nails in the back where your shoe would hide it, and you're able to put your power nailer on the front because your nailing guns fit, that board will expand and contract like normal with the normal acclimation of the home. In the 2 1/4 boards, it's made up of 3.25 square feet. That's what we've got. So we're going to do some demonstrations for you, just a very quick install demonstration for the starting application. And in this video we'll hopefully explain a few more aspects about it. The wheres and hows of the product are, obviously we're hoping this gets out to all the distribution centers across the country. You can ask your local distribution center about their use of it, or can they get it. Well, you just witnessed start and finish courses being installed on a room that measures about 13 feet or so. As we mentioned earlier about the start and finish courses, each start and finish course from tip to tip is 7 foot long, but each row is a precise 6 foot. With that 6-inch offset, that is what allows for that repeatability in the flooring product to be able to come together and provide a normally looking racked out floor. In this case here, the first piece, you notice we've got a cut here in the video. We took a measurement and we determined that we should cut a little bit more off the very beginning board in order to get a good looking rack up against the wall with no short pieces, but it also allowed me to take a good enough piece off the other end and allow for larger pieces at the end there. So this is in fact our waist to start this job with. This is our cutoff from the very last board that we installed, and it probably measures about 5 feet or so. But if you can notice here, it has about a 3-inch piece here and about a 3-inch piece here once you make that cut. Well, I don't want those, so literally all we'll do is just take a measurement on that, and we'll take that and cut that off with our skill saw or our chop saw. And this piece is ready for us to use as our starting board for our pull-up wall, so that there's really no waste. It also allows for us to be able to use this again in another room to start with. So there's no real loss one way or the other. Some unique things that we'd like to point out about the start and finish courses are the fact that they are, they're straight, okay? We put them into our presses and we press at about 480 psi in all directions. The product is flat, which is really good to know when you're using it as a pull-up board. The last 3 boards, say up against a wall, they don't ridge, and it's going to make it a lot easier for sanding. Okay. The primary reason that this product was produced or came up with is most guns require 3 boards off the wall before you can actually use it. And with our hot glue process, the fact that we make the product region specific, that means we make a northern product, a southern product, an Appalachian product. We make it region and distribution specific. We can use anybody's lumber. We don't manufacture the lumber, we just remanufacture it. All right, we're going to just demonstrate very quickly the uses of the start and finish courses as the last 3 boards in the pull-up, and we're going to demonstrate a few things about the average pen nailer or the average power nailers that are out there, Boss Stitch, Primatech, which has one advantage over most of the others. But in most applications, when you're dealing with a 2 1/4 flooring, this is probably about the last board that you're going to get in, and in this case, it leaves around 10 to 12 inches worth of play that's got to be done by hand. Obviously, you're not going to be able to strike here too much without beating the crap out of your homeowner's walls, and that's something that we want to avoid, obviously. So this is the last one that you'd be able to use using the power nailers. So in that application, the next 2 would be done pretty traditionally with screwdrivers and power jacks or whatever it is you're using in the blind nailing method, putting your pin nail right through the boards here. When you get to the end, this is where the start and finish courses really replace the last 3 boards. In this application here for demonstration purposes, I would need to cut a piece of start and finish hardwood floor products at about 5.5 inches. So we've already demonstrated that here for this purpose. Obviously, this product is going to make you a lot safer at a table saw because you've got a lot more distance between you and that blade, which should reduce the amount of trips to the table saw and reduce the amount of injuries that are associated with it. This is the new process, whereas this here is the old process. So I'd be cutting one of these 2 either with an open free blade and making a very cut down the line here, but in either case I'm taking multiple pieces to the table saw versus maybe 1 or 2 pieces of the start and finish courses versus maybe 5 or 6 of the other. So we are reducing the amount of trips to the table saw, making it much safer for the user, the contractor, and his employee. We just want to demonstrate the hot glue process and the strength of our hot glue process in our start and finish boards. The boards are put together under a press that presses with about 480 psi in this direction and with a counter pressure down on the top, which does keep the product flat. The glue itself allows for the product to stay flexible. It remains strong for shipping and all kinds of other purposes, but if you do break it, and they do break, you basically get a joint failure instead of a wood failure. which means that the boards are not panelized. Each board will expand and contract with the normal acclimation of the home. As it gets hotter, it'll do its job. As it gets cooler, it'll do its job and look just like the rest of the floor. It won't be a 6 3/4 inch board with a 2 1/4 product, or a 6 1/2 inch board growing at a different rate than the rest of the flooring that is at 2 1/4 or 3 1/4. So that just demonstrates the fact that the product will stay together during normal applications, the installation, handling, but if you do mishandle the product by beating the stew out of it, it will come apart on you. All right, we're going to demonstrate very quickly, just again, demonstration purposes, not an actual install of the product being used around vents. And there's obviously several different vents. You've got your top mount vents, and you've also got your flush mount vents. And in both applications, the start and finish product works pretty well in that. If you're using the top mount, it's, obviously you've got a lot of freedoms wherever your vent lays out in that product, whether it lays out partially in it or, one side or the other, I don't know. But whatever cuts you make, the top mount is going to cover, and you've got a lot of freedoms. And in the previous demonstration, we showed that the product with the hot glue will do its job. You can make cuts all over the pieces, and they'll stay together. In the flush mount application, it's just a little bit trickier. Obviously, your cuts have got to be much more precision in doing so. But if the product falls, say, here, you're going to take kind of an L cut out of it, and the next piece would just come and butt up right up against it. You can re-groove the side of it here, or you can just put your glue like you normally would do. That choice is up to you. We're not necessarily advocating one way or the other. We're just showing you that it does work around vents. One last demonstration we're going to show you is the start and finish courses being used, obviously, as the last 3 boards in an imaginary kitchen underneath your cabinets. Most of you as contractors know that the kitchen cabinets are pretty much the toughest place to play in your hardwood floor product. With the toe kick that extends out, it makes it very difficult to get to the last boards, and so there's oftentimes a panelization that you're trying to do. You're reluctant to put a pin nail in here because the angle that it's being shot at is going to actually expose more of a gap than you'd like. There are a lot more top nails associated with the cabinets because the power nailers don't get that much closer to the cabinets because of that toe kick. And so this can be a fairly decent complaint area from a homeowner. And so we just want to kind of walk through a process in which we sanction this installation method, if you will. But in this case here, what you would probably do is underneath your cabinets is go ahead and remove a section of your moisture barrier about as often as you would your nailing pattern. Okay, and then with whatever mastic you're comfortable with being used, you can lay that mastic down in those exposed areas. Okay, and then in a couple of spots along the way, what you would probably do is go ahead and use some fast dry epoxy. And put a couple of dollops of a fast dry epoxy. Then when you drop your start and finish course in, and you use your power jacks or your pry bars, whatever is your comfort zone, to pull that in and pull that up, by putting the pressure down, you can use minimal nails as far as top nails are concerned to get that product to stick and stay. 2 minutes later, your epoxy is going to bite it and hold it for the immediate bond, and your mastic, whatever you chose to use, will hold it for the long term, 24 hours plus. And in that application, you're going to be able to come up with a fairly nailless product as your last boards go in the wall. So that'll be your high traffic areas where you feel like you might get the most complaints from by having too many top nails visible. This would be another application for the start and finish courses. One more application to the start and finish courses is being able to use them as a 3-board border in your average room. We know by estimations that an average bedroom probably takes about a half an hour per corner. If you had a 12 by 12 bedroom, it's reasonable to think that after you've gotten your flooring installed and you have done all of the rest of the manipulations around the room, you've cut off your product and you've re-grooved it and you've got it all square so that your 3-board or your 4-board border eventually fits. we know that that could feasibly take, anywhere between 2 to 3 hours to do that final border work. And oftentimes the homeowners, they're pretty smart. They kind of figure out that they're paying a lot for the labor costs and that there's no real material associated with it. And so they don't like to see equity walk away from their home. They like to see it stay in their home. Well, Start and Finish Hardwood Floor Products, with this board, you can actually use this as your 3-board border. In this case here, it's just a maple, that's what we're using. And if you do this in a, you take the miter off, take this to your chop saw and cut your miter off and route it and put your spline in. It's ready to go in that corner. If you go ahead and do like we showed you earlier with removing a section of the moisture barrier so that you can get whatever mastic and fast dry epoxies in place, you would then be able to take that board and in just a matter of moments get it installed and pull it in with your power jack and go ahead and pin nail the back where the baseboard of the shoe will cover it. Your subsequent pieces of Start and Finish courses would just come right on in and marry right on up to it. When you get to the end of the room, you're just going to take the opposing miter off and just continue on in that clockwise fashion. We're also offering these in pre-featured border courses, so it would be something that would look like this maybe. Red oak, walnut in a 2 1/4, or a white oak Brazilian cherry. The possibilities are fairly endless. You just have to check with your distribution center as to what they might carry.